Hello? Hello? Oh. Gotta turn down my key light a little bit. Little bright. Hello, and welcome to the Hafey Digital Podcast pre-show. It's the show before the show, and it's really not much of a show, but it's a part of the show where I go through and do all my systems checks. If you haven't been here before, this is something you will only see and hear on the video version of the podcast. And it's where I just kind of go around, check my audio, get my cameras going, make sure everything is working as it should. Let's see. All right. So first of all, we are streaming. No drop frames. Fantastic. Our speed test looked good. Audio here is good. Audio here is good. Good there. Desktop audio is off there. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to do a quick test of intro is good. Let's pull up and see if we are live on the Facebook and the Twitter. Cool. Facebook is up. And the Twitter's is on the way. Today, drinking, as usual, some sparkling cranberry water, homemade. Okay, and it looks like we're up on the Twits as well. Fantastic. All right, there's something else I need to open. I think it's this here, Restream Chat. Monitor's a little lopsided. It's throwing me off. I gotta log in. Don't you hate that when you get logged out of stuff? Twitch is up. Fantastic. Not going to lie. I haven't really done anything with Twitch other than just scheduling these live streams. I have to do one of those CAPTCHA things right now where you have to click all the buses, and one of the images is really small, and I don't know if it's a bus. But it looks like I passed the test, so we're good. Let's see. It's the 18th of April, 2021. Today we're talking audio tips. Let's check our camera angles. Ooh. Gotta turn this down a little bit. I used this camera for a work trip recently, and my exposure got a little off. So let's see. Let's get it back where it needs to be. Maybe one more. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Cool. All right. Camera 3. Looking good back there. There's Tum Tum. Say hi, Tum Tum. No? All right. All right. So we're going on episode number 72 today. And every week, it feels like it's been forever since I've done this. Maybe I should start doing 2 a week. Who knows? But all right, I'm going to start recording on the Rodecaster. We are recording on OBS as well. Fantastic. And let's just go ahead and get this thing started. Hello and welcome to episode number 72 of the Hafey Digital Podcast, a show for creators, makers, and doers. My goal is to help you make to the max. My name is Ryan, and in this episode, I'm going to give you some audio tips. If you're a video creator, let's talk about it. Hello. Welcome to the show. It is, what is today? It is Sunday, April the 18th. Yesterday was my birthday. And I turned a ripe old age of 36. Man, it's actually crazy to think that I am that old now. And let's see, is my mic on? Okay, my mic's on. It's crazy to think that I'm that old now. It feels like just yesterday I was still in high school. But yeah, 36 years old as of yesterday. Didn't do a whole lot. Had some sushi, which is always great on a birthday. Got a new drone. which is this guy here. This is the ProTech 25. And it is, what I was looking for is a small, lightweight, Cinewhoop style drone that if I wanted to, I could fly around indoors or outdoors. Now, one thing I'm going to have to, first of all, I haven't flown it yet because the batteries have not come in. Also, the batteries for this are a little bit smaller, so I had to get some adapters that will allow me to charge the batteries for this drone on my regular drone charger. But this is the iFlight ProTech 25, and it's supposed to be pretty good. A lot of people like it, and yeah, like I said, I have. So what's going on is I have this Betaflight. I'll just put that there. I have this little Betaflight drone that I've shown before. It fits in the palm of my hand. Comes as this little starter kit from Betaflight, or from Beta FPV. Sorry, not Betaflight, Beta FPV. And for whatever reason, I've had to replace a couple of them because I crash them a whole lot in the house. But this last one that I have, for whatever reason, I can't get it back into acro mode, and I'm not sure why. I've tried going back and forth with support. It's a Chinese company, so the manuals that they have aren't super easy to understand. So I've just been kind of dealing with it. So I can still fly it. I just don't have acro mode. So I have the level mode, which means that I can zip around the house like crazy. But if I want to, work on my finger dexterity and muscle memory, I would prefer acro just to be able to improve at flying acro. So I'm hoping that with this new drone, I can maybe fly a little bit indoors. It's, these propellers are small, but it's, they've got these guards on there. There's this little soft padded stuff. So if I were to knock into things, obviously I need to be a little bit more careful around the family. So I don't plan on flying it around any of them. But, this should allow me to fly indoors. And then maybe if I want to take it and fly it around the house, I would not take my 5-inch quad and fly it around the neighborhood. I'm not that confident that I can do it without crashing it into something yet. But this, we'll see. The only thing is, it comes with a mount on it for a GoPro, but my understanding is that this thing is not powerful enough. Oh, a big hair. This thing is not powerful enough to carry a full GoPro. You have to have a naked GoPro, which is just like a GoPro with all the extra weight taken off of it. But really, for now, I'm not interested in doing too much like actual filming with a GoPro, and it's DJI, so I can use the goggles, and if I wanted to record some HD stuff, I could do so through the goggles. So the batteries for that and all the accessories I need should come within a couple of days, so I will report back on that later. Also, as of Wednesday, I am now fully vaccinated. That's right, I got my second Moderna shot. And for anyone that is curious, as far as the second dose is concerned, the first dose was not that bad. I remember that the evening of getting the first dose, I was a little sluggish, a little lethargic, and that was kind of the extent of it. Obviously, my arm was sore for a few days after the first one. The second one, the arm soreness actually didn't last as long. It was maybe sore for a day and a half. But so I took it at 11:40 a.m. and then throughout the day I was fine. Started feeling a little bit sluggish going into the evening, and then in the middle of the night I woke up like 5 times. I had chills. I didn't take my temperature, but I don't remember feeling too hot. I just had chills. I had some pretty bad body aches, and I had a headache. And that kept me waking up a bunch of times throughout the night. The next morning, woke up, still felt a little run down, took it relatively easy for most of the day. And then by that night, I was back to like 85, 90%, I think. And then the next day after that, I had to go on a work trip where, it's like a one-day trip to LA. Luckily, I was worried that the timing was going to be a little, just wasn't going to work out with the vaccine and the side effects. But luckily, everything cleared up in time. I was able to go out there, didn't have any issues, good to go. And So yeah, if you're getting my wife, by the way, she felt basically the same. Didn't quite wake up as many times as I did. She did have a low grade fever the next day for a short period of time, and that was pretty much it for her. So powered through it, and now we're good to go. So if anyone's waiting on their second dose and you're curious how it's going to feel, of course it affects everyone differently, but that was my experience. So one thing I haven't done yet. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button wherever you happen to be watching or listening, and follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter. And if you happen to be new here, again, my name is Ryan Hafey, and this podcast is for creators, makers, and doers. If you are interested in anything related to photography, video creation, video editing, audio editing, FPV, podcasting, live streaming, all that kind of stuff, this is where I come to share my knowledge on those different topics, and also to document just the different projects that I happen to be working on related to those things. So follow along, because I introduce some new things that I'm working on every week, and tell you how I do them. So there you go. Anyway, the topic for today is we're talking about audio again, and we've talked about audio before, but I wanted to show off a couple things. We're gonna be sticking specifically to Premiere Pro. So if you don't edit in Premiere Pro, there still may be some things that you could pick up on this. Some of the audio effects that I use that I'll be showing you are available in other audio editing software programs. But some of the different audio editing methods that I'm going to show you may not work the same in other programs. So just to keep in mind, I know Premiere is pretty popular, and there are a lot of Premiere Pro editors out there. So hopefully, if you are one as well, this will help you. But I'm going to talk to you. So we're not going to be talking about ways to get better quality audio up front. Someone said, "You're kind of cute, bro. No homo." Hey, appreciate it. We're not going to be talking about how to get good quality audio up front, meaning the actual recording of the audio. This is more on the back end. Obviously you want to get the best quality audio that you can. And then, you still want to tweak it and adjust it to get it to sound exactly how you want it in post. And these are just going to be a few ways to be able to do that faster and to be able to get some good quality audio out of that. So with that said, let's jump right into this. I'm going to open up Premiere. So we're going to just work with, turn you on here. Good. We're just going to work with a project that I am working on actually for, that was Tum Tum in the background. This is a project that I'm working on for an upcoming fight of ours. And as you can see, this is my timeline, pretty simple timeline, nothing too crazy. But here's the first thing. Obviously, if you want to apply any audio effects to any of your audio, you could always go up here to the effects and, for example, you could type in denoise. You can click on the effect and you can drag it onto one of your clips. No problem. Then you can go up to your effect controls and you can edit, and you can make any edits that you need to there. That's fine. But and then let's say you want to apply that same effect to the remainder of these clips. You could always go up to the effect, hit Command or Control C. You could select the remaining clips and you could paste that effect onto those clips, and that's fine. And if you have a smaller timeline where you only have a few clips that you're doing that with, that's not necessarily going to be much of an issue. But if you are about optimizing your workflow, this is what you want to do. So I've got two audio tracks here. Let's first of all, let me introduce you to the audio track mixer. So you're going to click audio track mixer, and if you don't see this, you can just go up to window on the top left and click on audio track mixer. It'll be right there for you. So this is basically going to allow you to make adjustments to each track individually. So let's say you want all of the clips in audio track 1 to go, bump them up a little bit. You could go over to audio track 1 in your track mixer, and you can raise or lower that as you see fit. You can also, this may not be expanded, but this little arrow, tiny little arrow on the top left corner, if you click that, it'll open this window here, and you can actually click here, and you can go to, again, just for the sake of whatever, put hard limiter in there. And you can apply as many effects as you want here, and all of these effects are going to apply to all of the clips within that track. Pretty handy. Now, let's remove that. Let's say that you want to do the same thing. However, maybe I want to apply the effects to all of the clips on tracks 1 and 2. Now, I could go in and apply these same effects in the track mixer to tracks 1 and then copy them over into track 2. Again, that's extra steps because you got to be copying and pasting effects, this and that, whatever. And then if you need to make any tweaks, you have to go back and do it there. But let's say, now in this case, these tracks here, or these clips here are accompanied by some like audience noise. So and normally I wouldn't do this, but let's say you have 2 tracks of audio dialogue, and that's where you want to apply your effects to. What you do is you go over to the left here, and if you see where it says A1, A2, A3, A4, all your different audio tracks, just go to an empty space on this left part of your timeline in the audio section. You're going to right click, and you're going to click on Add Audio Submix Track. And this is going to essentially allow you to edit your audio as if you were nesting clips. So once you do that, you'll see this, and I know it's probably hard to see on the screen there, but right here, it creates a new audio track called Submix 1. So now that we have that, there's not going to be anything in there, but what you do is you go back up into your track mixer, and we're going to go, so it's tracks 1 and 2 that we want to apply the effects to. So what you want to do then is for audio track 1, you're going to click the drop down right here under microphone. Actually, let's see. There we go. So you're going to click this where it says mix. You're going to click that, and you're going to select Submix 1 under track 1 and track 2. Now, basically what that's doing is that's assigning track 1 and track 2 to this submix track here. So now you can go in and you can add your effect there in this submix track, and this whatever effects that you apply here will now be applied automatically to tracks 1 and 2. And then you can also go back and let's say, okay, I want all of these effects applied to both of these tracks as a whole, but let's say in addition, I also want this additional effect applied only to track 1. Well, then you could go in and apply that secondary effect, whatever it may be, to track 1. So now you have the hard limiter being applied to tracks 1 and tracks 2, and then you also have an amplify effect being applied only to track 1 in addition. Hope that makes sense. So that came in, when I learned that was super handy for me, and saved me a ton of time having to go through and copy and paste a bunch of clips into a bunch of effects into individual clips. And then, if you have to change things, you got to delete the effects and re-copy paste them. This takes all of that out of it. So you get used to using the audio track mixer because there's a lot of stuff that you can do there that's going to speed things up for you as far as audio goes. And I'm going to go ahead and remove these effects that I put in there. And then, of course, outside of that, let's say you have an effect that you want to apply to all of your audio in your entire project. Well, then, of course, you've got your master mix, which is this last track here. So you could apply general mastering effects or whatever effects you want to this here. You could raise or lower the overall volume of your entire project here. Whatever your heart desires, really. So that's super handy. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Good. Wet the whistle a little bit. So yeah, that's helpful. Anyway, let's move on to, so now I want to show you some of the different effects that I use commonly when I'm editing my audio. Now in the case, we'll go back here and talk for a little bit. How about? In the case of this particular project, when I go in, let's say if I'm doing some filming for some promos for a fight or whatever it may be, and if I do any interview footage where I have the fighter mic'd up, I will typically process that audio ahead of time. So in the case of this project, anytime the main subject here is talking, all that audio has already been pre-processed in Adobe Audition. Now, you don't have to do that. For me, it's just, if you've got this one long audio recording, it's easier for me to edit that in its entirety, import that, and then work with it versus doing it within Premiere. I just kind of prefer it that way. But where was I going with that? But if you don't have to do that, and as I've mentioned before, a lot of the effects that are available in Adobe Audition are also available in Premiere Pro. You do get a little bit more flexibility in Adobe Audition when editing audio. It's an audio only editing program, so that would be the case. But you can do quite a bit in Premiere, and actually sometimes I prefer editing audio in Premiere because of the option of being able to edit audio like you would edit video. You can stack clips, you can, crossfade between them. You can, and I just prefer that better than the multi-track audio editing feature in Adobe Audition, probably just because I'm more comfortable with using Premiere Pro in general, and I'm more familiar with the controls. But, if your primary thing is video editing, you probably feel the same way. So anyway, as far as the effects that I typically will apply to my audio clips, the first one is I usually apply this one. We'll go back here. There we go. The first audio effect that I usually apply is going to be a denoise. Now, for the sake of this, I'm not going to be applying the effects. Actually, you know what? Maybe I will. I think it's a little bit easier. If we go here, we're just going to apply this to track 1 for instructional purposes. Let's go zoom back in here. So if I went to noise reduction, denoise, and then if I click on this here, double click, let's bring this up there, good. This is the denoise plugin, and this is just a super simple plugin you can use to remove any sort of extra noise that you don't want in your clips. And now it is possible to go too heavy on this. I typically will default to the light noise reduction. And down here you have the option of where you want to remove the noise from. So this is, if you're using this processing focus here, it's going to just basically look at all frequencies across the board, versus this one, for example, where you would focus on reducing noise in some of the lower frequencies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have a few different options there. And a lot of the time in my case, I will bring it down. Let's solo this track for now. I will bring it down to maybe like between 10 and 12%, and I'll show you kind of the difference. So this is at 10% noise reduction. Now keep in mind, this is being applied on audio that's already been processed. So it's going to sound a little bit more extreme. Typically that 10% would sound a little less muddy than this, but just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you really crank this up. So you can kind of see how it changes, how it sounds. It takes out a little bit too much sound, and it makes the audio sound a little bit boxy, and not a little bit, a lot boxy. So yeah, I would stay in the 7 to 12% range of denoising, but that's a super easy plugin to use. And if you want to hear how much noise is being removed, you can click this output noise only. And actually, hold on. Oh, I just realized, hold on, I got to play this back for you because I did not have desktop audio. There we go. Let's try this again. Okay. This is playing it back when you guys weren't hearing anything. This is denoising, a little bit of denoising applied to the clip.
That would bring me a toy, and for some reason I didn't really
Wait a minute, why is this doing that now? Hold on.
care about this.
That's interesting. Go back to the Track mixer. Denoise. Come on. Here we go. Denoise, a little bit of denoise applied.
That would bring me a toy.
That's weird. Why is it doing that?
And for some reason, I didn't really care about the toys. I would just break them.
So that is, it's because I still have output noise only selected. So right now what you're hearing is the noise that's being removed from the clip. I forgot that I had selected that. So that's the excess noise being removed. So if I unclick that, that's what it'll sound like with 10%.
That would bring me a toy. And for some reason, I didn't really care about the toy.
A little bit boxy, but then if I bring it up to 100, you'll really hear it.
My dad would bring me a toy. And for some reason, I didn't really care about the toys. I would
just sounds a little bit unnatural. So yeah, keep it in the low range there. Anyway, that is denoise. Let's move on to noise reduction. Now this one is, if you go to, it's not even available here. So that's right. So I'm going to skip that one. But noise reduction would typically be if you, there we go. If there's an audio feature inside Adobe Audition, if you choose to edit your audio there, which will allow you to select a clip of just ambient noise, and then you have the option to remove that audio from the rest of your audio. Maybe we'll talk about that in another one, but that's a cool plugin to use. But again, use Adobe Audition for that. Not even sure why I put that on my list. So let's go back here. And we're going to talk about single band compressor. So this is what I will typically apply after I apply my initial noise reduction. So we'll go up here once again. We'll go to amplitude and compression, single band compressor. And so it applies there. Double click on it. This is the window that pops up from that. Now what I will default to is voice leveler. And then I will adjust things a little bit here. So what I typically do, if you play this back, if you play your clip back and look at your, there we go. If you look at your audio meter, which is over in this area here, I'm going to turn this effect off for a minute.
And for some reason, I didn't really care about the toys. I would just break them.
So you can see how it kind of peaks around, I would say average peak is maybe around negative 10 or so decibels. So what I will usually do is set that threshold to negative 10. Looks like it's already there. If you have audio that's super quiet, let's say it's like, negative 18, negative 20, you would want to move this down more to negative 18 or 20. And then you may find yourself needing to add in a little bit more gain back into the clip, because what single band compressor is going to do is it's going to, there we go. If you have audio where there's a big difference between the peaks and some of the quieter parts, it's going to kind of raise up those quieter parts and bring down the peaks a little bit so that there's not so much variation between the loud and quiet parts of your audio. It's going to kind of take this stuff and compress it a little bit more here. This can be helpful with dialogue where, you don't want parts of the dialogue being super loud and then getting super quiet. You can kind of bring that and normalize it a little bit. So for like interview dialogue like this, it's helpful just to kind of get everything within a tighter zone. Especially if you're putting things like sound effects and music behind it, it helps to keep a consistent level of dialogue throughout. So going back here. Yeah, and then a ratio, sometimes I'll bring this down to closer to like 3.5 or 4. I feel like 12 to 1 is a little high. Attack is fine, release is fine. And then, output gain will kind of be at your discretion, and typically I would play this back.
My dad would bring me a toy
and determine.
And for some reason, I didn't really care about the toy.
If I need to boost that, I had the effect off there. I will determine if I need to boost that output gain or not. So you can kind of see.
My dad would bring me a toy, and for some reason, I didn't really care about it.
Obviously, in this case, because the audio is pre-processed, I don't need to do any of that. I'm going to keep it at 0. Well, in fact, I'm just going to remove the effect. But that is the single band compressor. Next up, we have the hard limiter. No, you know what? I'm going to back up. Actually, before I would apply, I'm going in the wrong order here. Before I would apply the single band compressor, I would apply a parametric equalizer. This is easily my favorite audio plugin because it gives you the opportunity to shape how the audio is going to sound. So, and again, I've talked about the parametric equalizer before. It's a really awesome plugin that allows you to turn certain frequencies on or off, or not on or off, but to either remove the volume of certain frequencies or enhance the frequencies of others. So, for example, this microphone here is very bass heavy. So oftentimes I will, enhance the high end a little bit and maybe go a little bit lighter on the bass. But just to kind of give you an idea of how this works in practice. And again, this audio is a bad example to use because it's already been processed. But what I will do is I will default to the vocal enhancer preset there. Click on that. And that's going to give you a curve that looks like this. I will also then turn on the low pass filter and I will bring this down to about 12,000 hertz. Excuse me, just burped. Anything above 12,000 is not heard in most vocal dialogue. So you can get rid of that. And then the same thing on the low end, anything below, 80 hertz or so, you're not going to pick up in your voice anyway. And even if you do, that obviously comes through as a kind of an annoying hum. So you would want to cut that out anyway. And as I play this back, you can kind of see where some of these frequencies reside.
My dad would bring me a toy, and for some reason, I didn't really care about the toys. I would just break.
So you can see that the audio sort of resides in this area anyway. So then from here, you'll notice that by default, and these are called bands here, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are just basically different points that you can move throughout the different frequencies to find frequencies that are maybe that are a little bit harsh, and then you can remove them, or if you need to boost them, you can raise them up. So for example, what I like to do is I like to shrink down the size of some of these bands so that they're a little bit more narrow. You can see how it changes if I move this this Q around. So I'm gonna increase it up, and then I'm gonna raise it up all the way up here. And I'm gonna play this clip back here.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because all my other aunts and uncles didn't want to take care of me because I would try to destroy everything.
Now, as I move it from side to side, you may be able to hear how it shifts the sound a little bit. And what I'm trying to do is find frequencies that just come through a little bit too harsh so that I can take them out. So let's start that over again.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because all my other aunts and uncles.
So I think like right here, excuse me, right here, there's kind of a boxy sound. So I'm going to grab it and then I'm going to bring it down, and then I'm going to reduce the width of the cue, as it's called, and then I'll play it back.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because all my other aunts and uncles didn't want to take
off. And a lot of these adjustments are going to be subtle, and in most cases, you're not going to hear the full difference of it until you've gone through and pinpointed all the different frequencies and shaped it how you want it to. So there's usually, around the 300 or so hertz range. I find myself reducing some of the frequencies. Also closer to the like 1,000 to 1,500 hertz range, I also find myself reducing some of these frequencies down. Again, everybody's voice is different, and if you're not doing dialogue, obviously, it's going to look different for you as well. And you can activate or deactivate as many of these bands as you want to. You might want to come in here and play around with some of the high end and see if you need to boost it. Again, everybody's voice is different, but also everybody's gear is different. So your microphone may not, may enhance or, withhold on certain frequencies. So you just got to kind of play around with it a little bit. And by the way, a little bonus tip, if you ever want to do like a radio sound, or like you're listening to someone through the phone, you can increase this high pass band really far up, and I'm going to turn this band off actually, and you get the idea what it sounds like here.
He would take care of me because
it's off.
All my other aunts and uncles didn't want to take care of me because I was.
So you can kind of hear the difference there when you get rid of all these low frequencies. You sort of get that telephone style
So
sound.
when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because all my other aunts and uncles didn't want to take care of me because I would try to destroy.
So there's a lot of opportunity with this parametric equalizer to shape your sound to get it the way that you wanted to get it. So a very cool effect, and it just takes a little bit of practice to go in there and fine tune it the way that you want, but play around with some of those frequencies and see what works best for you. And then finally, the final effect that I add after all of my other effects have been added is a hard limiter. And a hard limiter is essentially going to put a ceiling on the volume of your audio. And I always default, if I double click here, I always default this to limit to -3 decibels. So this is going to ensure that whatever audio you're working with is not going to peak past -3 decibels, and you're not going to get any clipping from that. Now, this is not going to fix any audio that is already distorted. You know, if you have some audio that you had clipped while you were recording, it's not going to get rid of that distortion. However, it is going to prevent the volume of that audio clip to not blow out your headphones or your speakers. So I will default to this. And in a lot of cases, I will keep the rest of those parameters the same. Input boost, I may adjust this a little bit. Again, if I feel like my audio is still a little bit quiet, I may bump this up. Because if you bring it down and you start to play back some of your audio, watch the if you watch the audio level, there we go. If you watch these audio levels over here, here's what happens when input. I'll play around with the input boost. Just put it that way. Here we go. So right now it's super quiet.
He would take care of me because all my other aunts and uncles didn't want to take.
So now I just, at the end of that, I bumped it all the way up to 50 decibels of gain boost. And you'll see that it's still.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would
you'll see that it's still preventing all of the audio from going past -3 decibels. However, all of that audio is just being compressed up into those higher registers right up to the top. So everything sounds very loud and very unnatural. So you want to find a good range to where it's just barely tapping -3 decibels. You know what I mean? Like you'll see it kind of doop, 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 just tap on it a little bit here and there. Let's play it back again.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because all my other aunts and uncles didn't want to take care of me.
I'm really only peaking at like -6.
Everything.
So that's an indication to me that I should boost up my input boost. So let's bring it up. Let's go like 20 and see what that does.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because
it's really not letting the audio fall much below -6. So we've clearly gone too far. So let's bring it like 7.7.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because all my.
Even that might be a little bit too far. Let's go to maybe 4.8.
So when I was like 7 years old, my uncle, he would take care of me because all my other aunts and uncles didn't want.
And I'm okay with this. In the beginning of the clip, it's bunched up a little bit against -3, but some of the audio in those clips, the volume is a little bit lower. So, and then it sort of neutralizes and evens out. So I think that amount of input boost is perfect for that. So if I was applying this effect to that, even though I had already applied it before importing it, if I was applying the hard limiter effect to that clip, that is the level at which I would put that input gain. And that's pretty much it. So to recap, let's go back here first. There we go. So to recap, if you want to edit if you want to apply effects or adjust volume of all the clips in your project all at once, you can use the track editor. No, I lied. We got to go back here now. You can use the track mixer and use this mix track and apply effects or adjust the volume there. If you want to apply effects to two or more of tracks at a time, you can add a submix track by right-clicking, clicking Add Submix Track, and then you would assign whichever tracks you want to have those effects applied to, assign those up here. So submix 1, if I wanted audio tracks 1 and 2 to be processed with effects applied to this submix track, I would assign them here. So tracks 1 and 2, for example. And then beyond that, if the effects that I commonly use when processing my audio are denoise, parametric equalizer, single band compressor, and hard limiter. And that's pretty much it for me as far as how I process my audio. But there you go. And hopefully that helps you on with your audio and editing your audio a little bit faster and getting some better quality out of your audio. But I think that's it for me for today. But if you're still here with me and if you enjoyed what you saw or got any value from it whatsoever, please hit that subscribe button wherever you happen to be watching or listening, and follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and call this one done. Thanks so much for watching. Keep on creating, making, and doing, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.